Thank you, Dr. Kington, trustees, faculty, parents, friends, and definitely the class of 2018. It is a thrill to be here. As my family will tell you, I've always talked about my Grinnell time as some of the happiest of my life. My first encounter with Grinnell was in May 1948, which was only 3 years, almost to the day, after I was liberated by the Russian army from a Nazi concentration camp, specifically Oskar Schindler's factory in Czechoslovakia. At liberation, I was 13 years old and was the youngest female on the now famous Schindlers List. When I visited Grinnell, I had only been a year since I immigrated to the United States with my parents and myself. And in terms of education, World War II has caused me to miss formal schooling from 3rd grade to 11th grade. In short, I was not your typical Grinnell student. I was born in Krakow, Poland. Krakow was a sophisticated city with lots of culture and a renowned university attended by Copernicus. My parents were accountants, and we were living a comfortable life. But soon after the Germans invaded Poland in 1939, we were moved to a Krakow ghetto where all Jews were forced to live in cramped, dangerous quarters. 2 years later, the ghetto was liquidated and we were moved to a concentration camp Plaszow outside of the city. When the Nazis closed that camp, my parents and I were fortunate enough to be placed on Schindler's List, meaning that we were to be transferred to Schindler's factory, munitions factory in Czechoslovakia. After a 5-week diversion to Auschwitz, my mother and I arrived at the Schindler factory. Because I had small hands, I was given the job of cleaning the machinery because they were hard to reach. After the war, we spent 2 years in Germany as displaced persons. They were restorative years for me. I learned English and other subjects from a 90-year-old cloistered German nun who had never been aware of Nazi hatred towards the Jews. And eventually, thanks to the relative in Des Moines, we got permission to come to the United States. When I arrived at North High School, because I had studied so much in Germany with the nun and other tutors, I was able to enter the 12th grade. And here is where I got lucky. The girls' advisor at the high school was a Grinnell graduate, and she made it her mission for me to continue my education at Grinnell. She drove me here herself. I couldn't believe how beautiful the campus was, and the idea that I might actually be able to go to Grinnell was incredible. The advisor convinced the college to take a chance on me, including a full scholarship and a work program for my room and board. It sounds ridiculous today that tuition in 1948 was only $1,200. But there was no way my parents could even afford that. I bet many of you feel similarly grateful to Grinnell that it was willing to take a chance on you. Before arriving at Grinnell, I had seen the worst of humanity and been denied an education. But when you are forbidden to learn, you really crave it. Grinnell was heaven. So what was Grinnell back then? In some ways, it was what you would expect in 1948, in the late 40s. For example, All women's dorms were locked at 10 p.m. We got 3 late permissions, perms, per semester. In fact, one of my jobs was to sleep at the main door to unlock it for the later comers. Each dorm, male and female, had a middle-aged house mother. Her job was to sew on buttons, talk to the students about their problems, and generally act as a substitute mother. Dinner was a formal occasion. Tables were set, we ate on real china, and each table had a waitress and a busboy. I distinctly remember that food was served on the left and cleared from the right. There were no washing machines on campus. As far as girls were concerned, they sent their laundry home to their mothers in flat brown boxes, and it came back nicely washed and ironed. In other words, Grinnell was way ahead of its time. Way back in 1949, the college started an exchange program with the Hampton Institute in Virginia, an outstanding African-American institution known today as Hampton University. 2 students came up, 1 male and 1 female for 1 semester, and Grinnell sent 2 students there. Andy Billingsley was the male student. He liked Grinnell so much that he came back and graduated from Grinnell. One of his future positions was as president of Morgan State University. Lillian Robinson was the female student, and I was fortunate to become her roommate. We became lifelong friends through marriages, children, and visits to each other's homes. Speaking of lifelong friends, that's what you get in a place like Grinnell. Some of you might have even been lucky enough to meet your partner for life. You will be coming back for reunions and renewals of friendship at your 30th, 40th, and possibly 50th reunion. The color of your hair might have changed, and in some cases, partially disappeared. There will be wrinkles, and body shapes will have changed. But as soon as you start speaking to an old friend, the mask falls off. You are back in 2018. It truly happens that way. Now let me say a few words about Oskar Schindler, Steven Spielberg, and the power of an individual to change lives. Back in Poland during World War, I would have never imagined that I would survive and end up coming to America, going to college, teaching, and having children and grandchildren. Schindler, a German industrialist, made that possible. Risking execution if he were caught, Schindler single-handedly saved over 1,000 people, including me and my parents. Another person who changed my life is Steven Spielberg. Back at Grinnell, I never could have imagined that someday I would speak about my experiences, Holocaust experiences, in public. For almost 50 years, I didn't speak about them to the people around me, feeling that nobody would truly be able to relate or understand. Spielberg changed that. One Sunday in 1982, opening the New York Times, I saw a front-page review of a newly published book by Thomas Keneally called Schindler's List. I literally jumped, for there was partial story of my life. Oskar Schindler had been honored in Israel, but he was not widely known anyplace else beyond that. About 10 years later, Steven Spielberg's movie was released. While the reality was even worse than what was in the movie, it didn't matter. Audiences were able to get some sense of what it was like to experience the terror of persecution and concentration camps. All of a sudden, people had a frame of reference, and I found myself able to start talking about the war. Spielberg actually got thousands of us talking. He decided to collect as many of the stories as possible before the survivors disappeared. He established the Shoah Foundation, which has collected, translated, and archived 56,000 oral survival testimonies. These videos can be viewed at the University of Southern California and other universities all over the world. Students are able to click on the testimony and hear directly about war experiences. One can read about these things in books. One can actually go to museums and see the artifacts. But nothing is more powerful than the human voice. There is nothing like seeing and listening to an individual human being to connect students with history and the importance of fighting bigotry. Many people reached out to me after watching my testimony, many of them young. People have different reactions. Some find it educational because they didn't know much about the Holocaust. Some find it inspiring because if I was able to move on and create a meaningful life, shouldn't they? And in many cases, they are motivated to do something to fight prejudice and hatred. Ever since Spielberg gave me my voice, I have thought to share my experiences and spread my conviction that hatred and revenge are corrosive and that all human beings deserve to be treated with respect. In fact, my voice is now permanently part of Schindler's List DVD. In 2003, on the 10th anniversary of the release of the movie, Steven Spielberg decided to reissue the film on a two-sided DVD. This was prompted by the efforts of the Holocaust deniers. Now, one side has the film, the other side, Voices from the List, includes several testimonies that support the authenticity of the film, that there really was a Holocaust, and that we were a part of it. Just as it would have been hard to believe that I would end up in America as a part of my life story would wind up in an incredible movie, so I would have never imagined speaking to the graduating class at Grinnell. It has been an honor to address this audience of eager young people, soon to become my fellow alumni. Life is truly unpredictable. As you venture into the larger world, you will encounter certain trials and setbacks, but also great successes. I know this because you have already succeeded here. You are leaving with the great gift of a Grinnell education. Being in the group before me, dressed in academic attire, you are a validation of your teachers' efforts and their faith in your abilities. What you have learned and the knowledge and skills you have acquired are yours to keep. Nobody can take those away from you. Whatever path you take or goals you pursue, please use your knowledge and skills well to fight for the things you care about, knowing that even one person can make a difference. Congratulations and good luck.